Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much more. And today, Loki Season 2 has begun filming officially. And of course, to go with that, we have tons of images from the set. It seems like it was a pretty public first filming, so if you go anywhere on Twitter, Instagram, pick a social media platform, there will be tons and tons of pictures that people have been able to take and post, and honestly, nothing that we're going to be seeing here or talking about is rather revealing to the plot. However, it is exciting, and we definitely get some hints and some clues as to where Loki might be taking us in the upcoming second season. So if you are at all interested in Loki Season 2, some of the set images, photos, videos that we now have, and just some fun fan theorizing for the future of the MCU, you have stumbled upon the right video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our other daily uploads. You can also follow me on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. Links to both of these are in the description down below. So there's not a whole lot for me to give you other than a look at Loki Season 2, so enjoy this background footage while I rant for a few minutes about what I think I know or about what we do know already about Loki Season 2. I will say, of course, I personally believe Tom Hiddleston is a very attractive man, and it's fun to see him running around in a suit with, of course, Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, who is back for another adventure. It seems like at the end of Loki Season 1, the massive cliffhanger they left us on where Kang had taken over the TVA, well, a different version of Kang, not He Who Remains, but what we presume to be a bad version of Kang from the multiverse that was all explained to us by He Who Remains. That if Loki and Sylvie decided to kill him, others were coming, and it was going to be pretty inevitable, and the only thing stopping the entire multiverse from absolute and certain destruction was He Who Remains and the TVA. Well, Sylvie sends Loki back to the TVA and then kills He Who Remains. Loki goes and finds his new friend Mobius, who does not recognize him at all, and Loki turns to see the changed Kang statue instead of the hidden secret identity of the three who control the TVA and all that fun stuff. So we are very clearly seeing here that Mobius and Loki are together and are probably aware of who each other are, which I don't think comes as much of a surprise. I think at the very least Loki was going to try to talk to Mobius until he could convince him that they needed to work together for something, but I also think people really liked Loki and Mobius together, and it wouldn't make much sense for them to have to restart a relationship that didn't come by very easily. So whether he uses some TVA technology or some Loki magic, he's going to end up making Mobius remember, and they're going to go on an adventure together. That's my personal belief, and I think that's what we're seeing here. And what are we seeing exactly? Well, this seems to be in the 70s. Now, don't forget, the TVA is all about time travel. The resources that the TVA have also seem to still be there. So, if Loki goes back to this newly run TVA and is able to convince somebody who's pretty high up in the investigation department through Mobius, they can use this technology to go around and see what they can do. My big question is, what is it exactly do they think they're going to be doing? Kang is a multiversal threat. There are multiple different versions of him. We're about to meet one in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and quite honestly, I believe that they might end up killing Kang in this film, in Ant-Man. But there are thousands of them. There are millions of different Kangs scattered across the multiverse, each one just as scary as the last. So let's say Loki and Mobius do kill Kang, or Ant-Man and the Wasp kill Kang. There's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. Which is what makes this threat, this multiversal creation of Kang, something so interesting. How do you defeat eternity number of bad guys who are all very, very smart, very, very evil? It's a good question because at some point this is going to have to be established. Kang's in the background. He's the big bad currently in the MCU. Is he the big bad of the multiverse saga? Very possibly, or not necessarily. A lot of people are hoping to see God Emperor Doom in the Secret Wars storyline. There's a lot of different directions Marvel can go with this, and yes, it's possible for there to be more than one big bad at a time. So we could see that maybe Kang and Doom will exist at the same time, and there'll be a lot of different issues for our heroes at the time, whether it's the New Avengers, Young Avengers, the Thunderbolts, a combination of these teams put together. There's going to be a lot to deal with moving forward. As the multiverse continues to expand, we're going to see that yeah, there are some ramifications of tampering or opening up the multiverse. And it's been confirmed by Kevin Feige that everything in the multiverse, it's Loki's fault. Well, Sylvie's fault. I guess she killed He Who Remains, which has thrown the multiverse into chaos. While I am sitting here recording this video and talking about the issue of Kang and how he exists throughout the multiverse, I did kind of have an idea. Perhaps we're seeing through the Scarlet Witch's ability to destroy the Darkhold in every universe, which is what happens at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. She quote unquote sacrifices herself, which just isn't true. She's alive and everybody knows it. But she sacrifices herself and destroys the Darkhold, and then it's revealed that she actually destroyed the Darkhold in every universe. That seems like the only answer to destroy Kang is to delete him from existence, not just in one, but in every universe. Now, this is potentially the formula that Marvel is going to have to use in order to defeat Kang, or they're going to have to reinstate another He Who Remains. If every single other Kang is evil, that's kind of crazy. You would have to presume at some point some of the Kangs, someone out there, will be more like He Who Remains. And they could reinstate this position and close the multiverse. If Loki's the one that ruined the multiverse, and yes, we know Sylvie did it, but she's a Loki. The Loki series is what ruined the multiverse. Well, then that's the piece of the puzzle that could be put together to reestablish one universe and close the multiverse. Maybe this will happen after Battleworld. Maybe we won't end up getting Battleworld. Maybe that's too big of a project and it's going to be too complicated and they decide they don't want to do that anymore. So if you take the piece that you removed, He Who Remains, and put him back into the puzzle by finding a replacement, re-establishing the TVA, well then presumably the multiverse would disappear and we would go back to the one sacred timeline like what we've had up into this point of this new multiversal saga that we're experiencing. It's also going to be pretty fun to see all of the different Easter eggs. Loki is going to be very involved throughout the entirety of the MCU, especially if they're doing some time traveling. We already saw a Kingo poster, which if you saw Eternals, Kingo used his eternal and godly abilities to become a Bollywood star and has existed throughout time as Kingo Jr., and has been acting. So it's cool to see that in the 70s a movie is going up and Kingo is the star, as it says now showing in London. Lots of stuff. I think Loki is going to be pretty heavy. I think a lot of the information that we're going to gain, whether it is blatantly given to us or we kind of have to piece it apart, which has kind of been a theme with Marvel in this phase 4, we're going to be learning a little bit more about the direction. Do you think Loki, Mobius, Sylvie, whoever else is involved are going to be able to wrap around all of these multiversal issues that they might be getting closed? Or do you think that they will remain open for the future of the MCU to figure out where it belongs with the multiverse? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you to everybody who watched to the very end of the video. If you found it helpful, useful, or entertaining, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell. And I'll see you guys all in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.